I'm sorry about the fire which was in the building of Makerere. We don't know how the fire started, but we already have some cases of some negligence. I'm sure the Vice Chancellor will be doing something about some stuff there.
In the morning of Sunday, 20th September 2020, at around midnight, a police patrol team at Makerere University noticed smoke coming out of the roof of the Makerere University main administration building. The patrol team alerted the OC Makerere police station, who had been deployed at Natete police station for the night. The OC Makerere police station at the time was in the CCTV control room, and he decided to zoom the cameras to the main building. That is the cameras at Makerere. And indeed, the cameras could show that there was smoke coming out of the building. The OC station alerted the Makerere University Chief Security Officer, who is also a police officer, who rushed to the main building immediately and arrived at the building at about 0:47 a.m. That is about 13 minutes after he had been, not actually 13, a few minutes, like 7 minutes after he had been informed. He first saw smoke coming out of the roof above the offices of the Public Relations Department. The fire brigade arrived at the scene at 1:10 a.m. Initially with 2 fire engines, which did not have the capacity to jet water to the roof of the building. After about 30 minutes, more fire engines with better capacity arrived. But by this time, the fire had spread through a big part of the roof. The fire brigade managed to subdue the fire at around 4 a.m., but after the entire roof of the building had collapsed, and the entire top floor of the building, as well as the entire finance department, had been burnt. Now, the reason the fire department was burnt because the wing in which it is located was designed in such a way that there is a void from the ground floor up to the ceiling of the top floor, and the whole department was constructed out of steel frames and timber floors, and even the partitions were timber. So when the ceiling collapsed, it collapsed to the ground floor, and the fire started climbing up, and of course, being timber, everything was burnt very fast. The fire engines experienced a challenge with lack of fire hydrant within and in the vicinity of the university, and had to fetch water from the hydrants at the fire brigade headquarters. And that caused some delays. When it appeared to the fire brigade that the fire had been completely extinguished, despite smoke still coming off from the central registry, they left the site. Unfortunately, fire again broke out in the council room at 8 p.m. But the fire brigade arrived within 15 minutes and put out the fire within 1 hour. The fire brigade has been on standby on site since, fighting small fires throughout the night. The main administration building is 79 years old, having been completed in 1941. It is an iconic building and is the symbol of higher education in Uganda and the entire East and Central African region. The building housed the offices of the Vice Chancellor, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, the University Bursar, the Directorate of Human Resources, the Directorate of Internal Audit, the Public Relations Office, and the Council Room, as well as the printery, which is located in the basement of the building but was not affected. The building had been fitted with fire extinguishers for firefighting, but these became unusable since the fire started from the roof. Being an old building, it had not been fitted with fire alarms and water sprinklers. The main building is guarded by the university's security services and the Uganda police. At the time of the fire outbreak, the officers on duty were inside the building near the entrance, and they apparently did not notice the problem until they were alerted by the chief security officer. Those officers are now under police custody, which means they have been arrested. The cause of the fire is not yet known. The Criminal Investigations Directorate and the Directorate of Forensic Services of the Uganda Police have commenced investigations. Security on the main campus has been strengthened. Practically all the documents in the Directorate of Finance, the Directorate of Human Resource, including the Central Registry, and the Directorate of Internal Audit were destroyed. Fortunately, all hard copies of the financial documents for previous financial years had been moved to the archives, which was not affected by the fire, so they are safe. Similarly, all the files in the Central Registry had been moved to the archives. Information of the staff in service has been digitalized and is kept safely on servers which are not in the main building. The financial documents for the financial year 2019-2020 are currently being audited by the Auditor General, and they were safely evacuated from the main building. The external auditors were working from the main building on the ground floor. So we were able to evacuate all those files before the fire could reach there. The fire has not reached there because it was subdued when it damaged the council room, which is on the first floor. All financial transactions of the university are automatically backed up electronically at the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. In addition, with the recent financial decentralization at the university, a considerable percentage of the financial documents are kept in the colleges and administrative units. All revenue collection, including student fees, rent, and other payments, are now received directly by URA, which then transfers the money to the consolidated fund. So there is no payment to the university which comes to university accounts. All the money now goes to URA directly. And then URA transfers the money to the consolidated fund. All payments are similarly made through the IFMS. Management, therefore, does not keep cash in offices, as alleged by some social media reports. And there was no loss of cash in the fire, because we no longer deal with cash. Everything is done online through the integrated financial management system. Documents from the offices of the Vice Chancellor, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Administration, and some of the documents in the Office of the University Secretary, which were not raised in the fire, were also evacuated. That's to say, all the documents in the Vice Chancellor's office, all the documents in the Deputy Vice Chancellor's office were evacuated because there the fire did not reach, only that they had a lot of smoke on them. Some of the documents in the University Secretary's office, however, were damaged by fire, but a good number of documents were retrieved and they are still okay. Compiling the value of all property lost in the fire, based on the university inventory and Board of Survey report, which was concluded at the end of August 2020. So we have just been going through that exercise, and the reports are fresh, so we basically know the equipment which was in every office, and we are compiling that report. All students-related data, including academic records, is stored digitally on the Academic Information Management System, also known as AIMS, which is also backed up at the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation. So there is no student data which is lost. We have all the student data. Hard copies of student information are kept in the Senate building. So we have all the student data, both in hard copies and digitally, safely stored. The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports. Okay. Okay, I think I need to emphasize the issue that our documents are digitized, so they are safe. That includes the documents in finance, because all transactions on FMS are also backed up at the Ministry of Finance. So those are quite safe. HR, they are all digitized. The paper files were destroyed in the fire, but all the information is digitized and kept on servers which are not in the main building. So all that information is safe. And that is what I was talking. The central registry was documents of the members of staff. All that is digitized and it is kept on servers outside the main building. The internal audit documents are also digitized because whenever they do an audit, they give an electronic report, and that is also stored and it is safe. And all student records are safe. You can go and ask for any records from 1930 of students who studied here. Up to now, we have records on every student. The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sport, accompanied by the Minister of State for Higher Education and the Permanent Secretary, visited Makerere University yesterday and addressed members of council and management and pledged government support to restore the building. During the night of the fire, His Excellency the President called the Vice Chancellor several times, requesting for an update on the efforts to extinguish the fire and on the causes of the fire. The Chancellor, our Chancellor, Professor Suruma, physically came to the site when the fire had broken out at around, he arrived, I think, at around 2 a.m. and was there until the morning. I wish to thank His Excellency the President and the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports for the concern they have shown during this difficult time. This incident has reminded us about two important issues which we have been handling: the need to ensure our installations and the need to install fire hydrants on campus. At the height of fires at educational institutions, Council decided that the university should ensure all key installations. Due to financial constraints, Council decided to begin with health insurance for staff, which was also a major issue, and budget for insurance of buildings in the subsequent year. Management requested the Chief Government Valuer to value the buildings for purposes of insuring them. And the government valuer submitted his report on 29th November last year, giving the value of the main building at 15.4 billion, the main library at 21.56 billion, and the Senate building at 20.5 billion shillings. Because those are the buildings that Council decided we should begin with as we roll out the program to the rest of the installations. At the time of receiving the report, the budget for the financial year had already been completed, and therefore this could not be included in the budget. Management, however, is engaging the ministry to see whether it is possible for money to be given for the insurance. Unfortunately, the incident happened just before this was concluded. For several years, management has budgeted for overhaul of the university's obsolete underground water reticulation system, including installation of fire hydrants. But no money has been approved in the budget for this purpose due to the financial constraints. Management will, however, continue engaging government on this issue. So we have all the plans completed, all the estimates of what is supposed to be done to overhaul our underground water system, because it is more than 60 years old. And we believe that we lose a lot of money due to leakage in that system. And because it was an old system, at that time it did not take into consideration the firefighting system, which we call the water hydrants. And so we have the plans to overhaul the system so that we can now include water hydrants. And we are now, of course, looking for money to do that. The university is now faced with the task of restoring this iconic building in time for the centenary celebrations due in 2022. Management will engage government and other stakeholders on this very important task. Business is continuing up to now because basically we are still working from home due to COVID. But of course we need some staff to be physically on site. And so we are making arrangements to relocate all those offices, and the proposal is that the offices will move into this building. So that was about the unfortunate incident of the burning of the main building. Arrangements are underway to receive the final year students as directed by government. Final year medical students will resume studies for the second semester on 3rd October 2020 and end on 28th November 2020. Remember that the second semester was just interrupted, so they will come to complete what they had not completed. The rest of the final year undergraduate students and the graduate students will report on 17th October 2020 and end on 12th December 2020. Arrangements are underway to receive the students. It is proposed that students who are ordinarily residing in halls of residence on campus will be admitted in the halls of residence, and the non-residents will continue to reside off campus. This is because as much as we would have wanted all the students to be in our halls of residence, the capacity cannot accommodate that because we have capacity for only 6,000 students, but the final year undergraduate students are more than 10,000. Announcements will be made in good time to all students to allow foreign students to undergo quarantine if necessary. We already made announcements for the foreign students who are on the medical programs, giving them enough time to come so that they be quarantined if necessary. But as the president announced yesterday, I think they will be allowing those who have tested 72 hours before and have tested negative, they can actually be admitted without being quarantined. After receipt of clearance by the National Council for Higher Education, teaching for the rest of the students will commence on 15th October 2020 via the online, distance, and e-learning platform. Arrangements for this are underway. That is the end of the statement, and we will...